decisions. That's what I find myself saying whenever I go out to eat. Does anybody else get a little stressed out when you go to a restaurant? You start fanning through the menu and you're like, man, I don't even know what to get. And you know what kind of person you are based on how you order. Because some of us in here, you are the, I don't want to waste $30 and hate what I'm going to eat. So I'm going to get the same thing I ordered 20 times in a row the last time. We're playing it safe. Some of us in here, you're a little more adventurous. And you're like, you know what? I got to try something new every time. I'm going to get that thing that has the word squid in it. And we're just going to see what happens. Guys, I learned a lesson here. Something I actually never do anymore. I do not ask the waiter what I should order. I never do that. Because then they spend 13 minutes telling you their favorite thing, which sounds really nasty, and you know in your head you definitely don't want it, but then you have to sit there and smile for like 5 minutes as they describe every little ingredient to you. Decisions. You make decisions every single day. How many decisions have you made today already? You decided to get out of bed. Good job, actually, by the way. That's a big deal. You decided to get dressed. Thank you for making that decision, by the way. You decided whether you're going to have breakfast or not. You decided whether you're going to brush your teeth. Hopefully you decided to take a shower. You decided to go to church today. Come on, you made a good decision today. You at least got one win racked up right now. You decided to go to church. We're going to call that a win right now. Now, there's all sorts of debates and disagreements about this, but some studies argue that we make as many as 35,000 decisions a day. Now, 227 of those are apparently related to food, which that's always an easy decision, right? Yes to the food decisions. But think about just life. Life is decisions. Your life is a series of decisions from one day to the next. And if you even think about your life at this moment, in many ways, it's just the accumulation of all the decisions you have made up to this point. But with 35,000 decisions in a day, we already know that most of those you're not even thinking about. They're in the back of your mind, they're subconscious. But it does make me want to ask, which decisions in your life really matter? So what are the decisions in your life you absolutely have to get right? And if you guys are just joining us today, I always want to catch people up. We've actually been in a series the last couple weeks we are calling Moments. And we've really just been saying through this series is life is a series of moments. You live from one moment to the next. But the thing is, not all moments are created equal. So, for example, we have this foundational verse we've been using every week where Paul in Ephesians says, be very careful then how you live. Not as unwise, but as wise, making the most of your time. Now, we've been saying every week, Paul here, he's not talking about efficiency. He's not talking about productivity. Because the Bible actually has two concepts for time that it talks about. Because yes, there's such a thing as clock time. It's the minutes, the hours, the days. You got a watch on your wrist. But the Bible also talks about a thing that we might call appointed time. So these are the moments in your life when God is really moving. These are the moments that really matter. These are the moments that Paul says you need to make the most of. That's why some other translations of this verse say it this way, making the most of every opportunity. Because God is going to give you these moments in your life where he's trying to move you in the direction that he wants for you. And we don't want to miss those moments. We want to make the most of the moments that God has for us. And when you think about it, at the end of the day, our lives are really just a moment. So we really want to make the most of this one moment that really is just our life. So guys, I want to keep building on where we started last week. And I want to do a flyover of a handful of people we see in the Bible. And you'll see here that there's actually a pattern among these people. These are people who figured out the moment thing. And I want to see if we can learn something from them. So, for example, if you start reading through the Bible, you will pretty soon come across this guy named Abram. Now, this is the same guy who later becomes Abraham. But when you meet him in the Old Testament, he's kind of just doing his own thing. He's living his life. He's not looking for anything in particular, but then a moment shows up in his life. And it says this in Genesis 12. The Lord said to Abram, go from your land, your relatives, and your father's house to the land that I will show you. Now, if you fast forward in time a few years, you then come across this guy named Moses. Maybe that name sounds familiar. And Moses is very similar to Abraham in the sense that he's kind of living his life, kind of doing his own thing. He's not looking for anything in particular. But then God appears to Moses in this burning bush moment. And God's like, hey, my people are suffering in slavery. I want to set them free. And God says to him, now go. I'm sending you to Pharaoh. You must lead my people Israel out of Egypt. There's a woman named Ruth who comes up later in the Bible. Now, she went through a tragic situation. She lost her husband. She was a young widow. And she had a mother-in-law named Naomi who was encouraging her and her sister-in-law to just go back to their original families and start over again. And Naomi says to them, go back, each of you, to your mother's home. You probably have heard the name David before. There's this moment in time when a giant is challenging the entire nation of Israel. He's like, come on, bring me your best man. I'll take him. And here's David, who shows up as a teenage boy and sees this giant for the first time in his life. Esther, this young girl living in exile in this foreign nation who through a crazy set of circumstances ends up as the queen of this nation. And then finds out that her own people are facing an extinction event themselves. And so Mordecai, her relative, comes to her and says this, who knows, perhaps you were made queen for such a time as this. Now let's do one more. Let's go to the New Testament. Peter and Andrew, two brothers, fishermen, working a small business together. And they're making a living, and guess who decides to show up? Jesus. And Jesus says to these guys, come, follow me, and I will send you out to fish for people. Now, what do you notice about every single one of these people? Every single one of them experienced what you might call a defining moment. Now, what is a defining moment? I am so glad you asked. Here is a working definition we can use today. It is a moment of decision where what you decide determines who you become. Now, this is what makes a defining moment so profound. You walk into a defining moment as one person, and you walk out as someone totally different. You are never the same after a defining moment. It is a transformational moment in your life. Just think about this. Abraham showed up as a comfortable, dual income, no kids dude. And then he left as the founder of a nation. Moses showed up as a fugitive and left as a deliverer of her people. Ruth showed up as a destitute widow and left as an ancestor of Jesus Christ. David showed up as a shepherd and left as a giant slayer and a king. Esther showed up as prom queen and she left as the defender of the defenseless. And Peter and Andrew showed up as nobodies and left as founding members of a movement that today claims over 2 billion people. Now, here is what is so fascinating about defining moments. In many cases, defining moments don't always feel dramatic. So if you looked at Ruth's life, her defining moment was a conversation with her mother-in-law. Peter and Andrew looked like two guys who just quit their jobs. Abraham just got on his camel and started driving. Moses, he was just hanging out, taking care of some sheep. So most of these moments weren't even noticed by other people. They weren't seen as significant. And yet these were the very moments that changed the course of these people's lives and history forever. You see, you might make 35,000 decisions a day, but you will only have a few defining moments in your entire life. A handful at most. And these are the moments that change the entire direction of your life. These are the moments that change who you are as a person. And these are the moments that matter the most in your life. So if that's the case, these defining moments are a big deal. We better know how to recognize them. And we better know how to respond to them when they're happening to us in our lives. So I want to talk through the DNA of a defining moment. How do you recognize a defining moment when it's showing up in your life? And how do you make sure you respond to it correctly? So it's going to be 4 things. I'm going to punch through these because we got some stuff to get through. But let me just get at it right here. First thing you'll notice about a defining moment is it always involves a choice. So a defining moment is never something that you just passively experience. It requires your active participation. You have to decide. You have to do something. So what did God say to Abram? He said, go. What did Jesus say to Peter and Andrew? Come, follow me. There's a decision required. You have to do it or not. So every defining moment in your life is going to have a clear line of decision that you have to decide whether you're going to cross or not. A second thing, though, every defining moment comes with a cost. These moments are never free. They, by definition, require you to give something up. Look at Abram's story again. God says, go from your land, your relatives, and your father's house. He had to leave his family. He had to leave his neighborhood. He had to leave the entire life that he knew. Ruth, she had to leave her whole country. David had to leave safety and security. Peter and Andrew had to leave the family business. There's always a price that you're going to have to pay with a defining moment. Let's go to the third one, though. Every defining moment has incomplete information. So if you look back at Abram's story, look at this. God says, go to the land I will show you. Isn't that a little bit funny? It's like, hey, God, where are we going? You'll find out. Just get on the camel. You know what I love Mordecai when he's talking to Esther? Did you see that? He said, hey, who knows? Perhaps. So Mordecai's like, Esther, God has made you for this moment. I think. Maybe. You know what? I'm not totally sure, but it sounded really good when it came out of my mouth, so we're just going to run with this thing, Esther. You never get the full picture with a defining moment. These moments never come with absolute certainty. And if you look at every single person mentioned in the Bible who had one of these, they had to step out before they knew what was going to happen. And so every defining moment in your life is going to have a level of risk. It's going to have a level of uncertainty. There will even be potential for failure. Okay, let's get to the last one then. Every defining moment in your life has an expiration date. The thing about these moments is they do not last forever. There's a time when they pass in your life. You know, when God said to Abram, go, not to nerd out too much here, but grammatically, that is a direct imperative that God's giving him there, which means it was not a suggestion. God wasn't saying, hey, go ahead and think about it. You know, we got a couple different options you can take here. No, God is saying the moment is now. This door is going to close. You need to do this. There's a time frame here. Did you see what Mordecai said to Esther? He said, this is for such a time as this. This time. This moment. Not 5 years from now. Not 5 weeks from now. Now. And so defining moments, guys, they do not allow you to delay. There's a timing component that forces you to decide. And this is why this topic of defining moments should actually be a little sobering for us. Because there's a very real dynamic to these things that we have to face. And the reality is, defining moments can be missed. It is possible for God to offer you a life-altering, personally transforming, history-changing moment, and you miss it. And you can walk right past the very moment that God is trying to put in front of your path, that he's trying to use to change everything in your life. And there are a lot of people alive today who are living a far cry from the life that God really wanted for them. Because they missed the moments. They didn't see them and they didn't respond to them. Now, guys, it's worth asking, how in the world does that happen? How do you miss a moment that God is putting right in front of you? How do you possibly miss a moment that God is trying to use to change your life? It's because I actually think it's worth taking a little bit of time here to talk about why we do miss defining moments. Why do we miss these things? in some cases. And so you'll probably notice, guys, I'm actually going to go back to those 4 things and lean into why this will sometimes happen in our lives. So we said, guys, every defining moment involves a choice. Well, what would sometimes cause us to miss this then? It's actually fear. You know, sometimes when you face these moments, all these thoughts start spinning through your mind. Well, what if this happens? What if it doesn't work? What if I fail? What if this goes really bad for me? You know, even after God had this defining moment with Moses, you know what Moses said to God? Who am I that I should go? God, I can't do this. I am not your guy. This does not sound like a good plan, God. And you know, God, he's very gracious and patient. So he's like, okay, come over here, Moses. Let's have a chat. He's like, don't worry, here's a couple miracles to show you I have power, and I got your back. And I know you've been looking at this whole burning bush thing, and that's a little overwhelming and overstimulating, but I got your back. And then what does Moses say to God after this whole conversation? Please, Lord, send someone else. But you got to see here, not choosing is a choice. And sometimes that is the worst choice you could ever make. And so, guys, here's the question we need to lean into on this one. What choice am I hesitating to make? Every defining moment in your life is going to have a level of intimidation to it. But that doesn't mean you shouldn't do it. Now, let's look at the second one. We said every defining moment comes with a cost. So what would cause us to miss a defining moment when we're thinking about it from this angle? Well, sometimes, honestly, guys, it's comfort. You look at those people that we mentioned, and most of them, if you looked at their life when God showed up, they had good jobs. They had a good situation. They weren't even really looking for anything. They were not discontent or frustrated. I mean, Esther was a queen, for goodness sake. Life's going pretty good. But a defining moment is going to force you to face this question. Is my current comfort more important to me than God's call on my life? You know, guys, we actually have a why for this church. It's like the heartbeat behind everything we do, and we try to keep it real simple here, guys. The thing that drives so much of just the passion and energy behind this church is this conviction. There is more. And guys, if you ever hear us say that, if you ever hear us talk about that, what we mean by that is God has so much more for you. Every person you encounter, God has more for them. He has greater plans for their life. He has more of a purpose. There are things he wants to work out. There's just more. And guys, this is why you'll see it right on the wall out in the cafe, one of our core values. We want more. Guys, this is, again, a driving pulse of this church because, guys, we don't want to settle for comfort when God is calling. And a defining moment is always, by definition, going to call you out of your comfort zone. So what's the question for this one we got to wrestle with? Well, it's, what price am I unwilling to pay? What are the limits of my comfort that are potentially preventing me from stepping into God's calling for my life? Okay, let's keep going here, guys. We said every single defining moment has incomplete information. Now, what would potentially trip us up here? Well, many times it's this desire for control. Now, I'm even just curious here today, do I have any type A people in the room? Do I have my type A folks? Am I planners? Some people are raising other people's hands for them right now. I see that. Can I just say right now, Plan A people or Type A people, you're my people, by the way, just for the record. I love Type A people. You other guys, you annoy us like crazy. Do you just want to know that? You drive us insane, okay? Because we want to plan. We got things to do. We like schedules. And my Type A people, how do we operate with God? You all know how we do it. We say, God, you better have a plan, because if you don't, I have one for you, okay? So here's my 10-page essay, double-spaced for you, God, on what you're going to do in this situation. But you got to be real careful, my Type A folk. I'm talking to myself too. Because while control sometimes looks like you're on top of things, it looks like you have a handle on your life. What control is sometimes is pride in disguise. Because sometimes what we do when we start clinging to our life is what we're really saying is, God, I can run my life better than you can. Because God, at the end of the day, I actually trust me more than I trust you. And there are times where our craving and desire for certainty and control in our lives actually causes us to miss the moment. And we're trying to get information that God never said he would give. But guys, defining moments, they are not about how much you know, they're about how willing you are to move. So follow me here. I love this verse in the New Testament. Hebrews says this, by faith, Abraham, that guy we've been talking about, when called to go to a place he would later receive as his inheritance, obeyed and went. I love that this is in the Bible, guys. Even though he did not know where he was going. Abraham got moving. He had no idea what he was doing. But he was doing what God wanted him to do. And guys, you'll see it on the wall there. Since we are talking about some of the values of this church, I might as well say another one. You'll see it right there on the walls out there. It says, we bet on God. Now, I kind of like that word bet because it kind of makes you a little uncomfortable a little bit. You know, you're like, are we in Vegas or something right now, Brian? What are we doing? But I like that word bet because what is a bet? It means you don't know for certain what's about to happen. You have an idea, you have a hope, you might have a percentage, but you're not totally sure. And guess what? That's what following God feels like sometimes. Yeah? You are not so sure how this thing's going to play out. And guys, the reason that's a core value of this church is because we don't bet on our own certainty. We don't have confidence in our ability to control the outcomes of our lives. No, guys, we bet on God. We trust God. We depend on God. So the question for this one to wrestle with for all of us is, what information am I still waiting for? What are you trying to get to 100% to in your life? And are you waiting for that information because God said he would give it to you? Or are you waiting for it because you want to control the circumstances of your life? Okay, let me do this last one here. We said every single defining moment has an expiration date. Now, what ends up causing us to miss the moment here? Sometimes, guys, it's delay. You know, there will be defining moments that show up in your life, and we can sometimes be kind of lazy with them. Like, you know what, I don't feel quite ready for that. I'm going to get to it, you know, when it's my time. And what you don't realize is the door is closing. There's a date where that opportunity may not be there anymore. And that's the thing, guys, that's what's so hard about these defining moments. They don't wait till you're ready. Sometimes they just show up. And if you read through the Bible, there is a whole handful of people where God showed up in their life and he was offering them this incredible plan, and they let it pass by. They missed it. And they never had that opportunity again. So guys, the question we got to wrestle with here is, what is delaying me from deciding? Now, at this point, talking about this idea of defining moments, I'm wondering, have you had any defining moments in your life? Can you think of any moments in your life that fundamentally changed the whole course of your life? Can you think of these moments where you were not the same person after you crossed that threshold of that decision? I said you might have a handful of these in your entire life. But guys, I will never forget some of mine. I remember one in particular. I was a freshman in college, planning on a future in medicine. That was the whole plan. Never had any other ideas in the back of my mind. And as a 19-year-old kid, I still remember, I felt this sense. I couldn't even explain it. It wasn't some audible voice, but I felt like God was telling me I should reconsider my career plans and that I should maybe consider this idea of going into ministry. Now, you guys just need to know, I never had a single person in my life say, Brian, I think you'd be a great pastor one day. And if you knew me at 19, you would know why nobody ever said that to me. But I can't explain it, guys. It was so strong, it was so hard that I remember the exact Friday night in my dorm room, like yesterday. All my roommates were out of town, and finally I had to stop in that defining moment. I got on my knees, and I prayed a prayer I will never forget to God. I said, God, I would rather try and do what I think you're calling me to do and fail than always wonder if you had a different plan for my life. And that moment in that dorm room changed the entire direction of my life. Guys, I remember the moment when Nicole and I felt like God was calling us to come to Colorado. And guys, you just need to know, it made no sense on paper. 2,000 miles away from family. We'd only been in the state one other time before. We had no jobs. We had no connections. We had no plan. And I actually still remember when we started moving out here, everything started falling apart too. The house we were supposed to live in, we got kicked out of. We weren't allowed to live in this house. And I remember the day that I'm standing on the driveway of the house that I am not allowed to go into. And the moving truck backs up onto the driveway of this house that we were not allowed on, okay? The police are about to get called on this whole thing. And I call Nicole up, and I go, babe, are you sure? This doesn't seem like a good plan. I don't want to waste a whole day unloading all of our personal belongings if this isn't going to work out. And I still remember my wife on that phone that day. I'll never forget it. She says, Brian, unload the beep truck. Hey, it gets real in the bigger family sometimes. Can we just be honest? It gets real. That was a defining moment for our family. Never looked back after that. Guys, I remember a couple years into our journey here in Colorado, it was a mess. It was a disaster. It wasn't working. We're like, we thought God told us to come here. We thought this was his plan. And so we actually thought we failed. We're like, we missed God. We messed up that moment. And so we were already starting to make plans to leave the state. We're like, we got to get out of here. Colorado hates us. This isn't working. And so I was getting ready to get out of ministry. I'm like, the ministry thing's not working. We failed. Let's just own it. Let's cut our losses. And there was a day where I went out to lunch with a friend in downtown Denver. Again, I remember this like yesterday. And he's one of my best friends. He was really trying to be helpful at this lunch, I promise you. But he's like, Brian, you tried. Okay, you did your best. But like, let's just acknowledge that this hasn't worked. You thought ministry was a good idea. It wasn't. So let's move on. And as a way to try and encourage me, he actually pulls a check out of his pocket and he opens it up and he shows it to me. And the check was in an amount that was greater than my entire annual salary. And he goes, Brian, I made this today. He's like, let me help you, okay? We can get you on a better path. And guys, I can't even fully explain it. But I remember looking my friend in the eyes, and I said to him, I can't do it. Because God told me I was going to be a pastor. God told me that I was going to lead a church one day. And so I have to see this through even if it kills me. And it was less than 2 weeks after that lunch when I got a phone call. And it was 1 month after that phone call when I was then announced as the new pastor of New Hills Church. Everybody. And I know maybe you think that sounds like a coincidence and just a weird timing thing. I'm going to tell you, it was a moment. It was a defining moment in my life. I had to choose. And you guys just need to know, just trust me, every defining moment I've ever had in my life has been terrifying. It's been overwhelming. It's been scary. Every defining moment Nicole and I have ever had in our lives has been extremely costly. They've been painful. We haven't always wanted to do them. Every defining moment I've ever had has had so much uncertainty. I've had no idea where it was going to go. I had no idea what was going to happen. But while these moments are terrifying, while they are overwhelming, while they feel like jumping off a cliff, some of you guys might recognize this poem. It's a famous one by Robert Frost, where he says, 2 roads diverged in wood, and I took the one less traveled by. And that has made all the difference. And guys, there are going to be moments in your life where God's going to come to you and say, hey, I have a road for you. Do you want to take it? And you just need to know those roads are going to look so scary. They're going to look so uncertain. You're not even going to know what's going to be down that path just around the corner. But these are the very roads that are going to take you to places that you never even dreamed of. And they are going to transform you into a person that you never even imagined you could be. And guys, what better day to be talking about this idea of defining moments than today? Because church, today is Baptism Sunday. That's what today is. And guys, you need to understand that God designed baptism to be a defining moment in your life. See, guys, baptism is the moment where you say to God, you say to the world, and you even say to yourself, I am giving everything to Jesus. All of me, my entire life. And I know for some of us in here, maybe you've never seen a baptism before, or maybe you've never understood it. It's actually a very simple moment. It's pretty short, but it's profound. See, you actually get dropped into some water. And what you're saying in that moment is you are saying, I believe with all of myself that Jesus really died for me. He died for my sins. He paid the full price of my sin on my behalf. But you know what you're also saying in that moment? You're saying, I am now dying to my old way of life. I'm leaving that in the grave, in the past, behind me. This is my moment. But then you get pulled out of that water. And what you were saying with your whole self is, I believe Jesus really rose from the dead. I believe he is giving me new life. I believe that there is a future ahead of me. I am stepping into the plans that God has for my life. And the reason why you get dunked in the water is it is this beautiful symbol of God completely washing you clean from all of your sin once and for all. It is such a beautiful moment in somebody's life. And guys, Paul himself even says this, I tell you, now is the time of God's favor. Now is the day of salvation. And so for some of us here, today is your moment. Today is your day. Now is the time. This is your moment between you and God. So let me just say this. If you are someone here today where you have put your faith in Jesus, you have trusted him with your life, but you have not taken that step of baptism, I'm going to make this very easy for you. That is your next step. It's exactly what God wants you to do. It's the first step he wants you to take really after you've given everything over to him. Now, I know when I say that, there's already thoughts going through people's minds. You're like, Brian, today? You're telling me to get baptized today? No, that's not my day. That's for all the other people. Well, hold on. I want to talk about the baptism moment for just a second. This is such a big moment for anybody who takes it, and there's a lot of thoughts that go through our minds when we consider taking this step, guys, because I know for some of us in here, one of the things going through your mind right now is, well, Brian, I was baptized as a baby. I checked that box when I was like 6 months old. My parents did it. I want to recognize, guys, we understand there's different traditions and even different beliefs that some other churches may have, but I just have to make this so clear, guys. Baptism is meant to be your moment. Okay, it's not your mom's moment, it's not your dad's moment, it's not your auntie's moment, it's not your uncle's moment, it's not your grandma's moment, it's not your second cousin's moment, it's not their moment, it's your moment. Your moment with God. And see, guys, every time in the Bible you'll see there's a very clear pattern. You believe first, you put your faith in Jesus, and then you make the decision to be baptized in that order. And so I just want to encourage you, if you are someone who has the baby baptism story like me, I promise you God wants to have a moment with you. He wants you to seal that defining moment with him. But I know for some of us in here, guys, even considering this idea today, you're like, well, wait up, hold on, Brian. The reason I can't do it today is because my family, my friends aren't here. Like, I would have invited them. This would have been a moment we would have shared. Like, I would have filled up a whole row of people to come take pictures and support me. Now, guys, I get that. That is a big deal. Okay, I don't want to diminish that. And I promise you this is not a threat, but you need to know. Today has an expiration date. This moment is going to pass. This service is going to come to an end. And we knew that you may not have everybody here that you would want to have here, which is why, guys, this entire service, there's going to be professional videography on site. There's professional photography on site. We're going to capture this moment so that you can share it the rest of your life. And I really just want to lean into the question, guys, as you consider this. Who are you really doing this for? No, really, who do you do this for? Because if you're doing it for Jesus, he's here. And you're here. And those are the two people that only really matter in this moment for you to take it. And so let me lean into another question, though. I know some of you guys, the thought is, well, hold up, Brian, you're telling me to get baptized, but I'm not ready. Brian, I still got so many issues I need to clean up. I still got things I got to think about. Like, I got to consider this some more. I can't just do it right now. Well, hold on. Don't overcomplicate this. Do you believe that Jesus really died for you? Do you believe that he really rose from the dead on your behalf? Have you given your life to him as your Lord and Savior? And if your answer to those questions is no or not yet, how about you do that today? Today is a great day to do that. Now is the time of salvation. Now is the day of God's favor. Why would you wait? But if your answer to those questions is yes, guys, you don't get baptized when you feel like you're perfect. You don't take the step when you finally cleaned up your life. You get baptized because you need Jesus to clean you up. That's why you do it. You need his grace. You need his forgiveness. So you step into it. He does it for you. That's why this is good news. Now, I know I say this, you're like, but wait a second, Brian, you just said I'm about to get really wet. Like, my hair's about to get destroyed by this entire experience. I didn't bring a change of clothes. Brian, it's not 80 and sunny today. It's like 50 and cold. I'm going to be freezing once I walk out of this building. What are you talking about, Brian? Well, hold on. I knew you wouldn't be prepared, so don't worry. We actually prepared for you. Where's my bag at? Who's got my bag? Oh, thank you, my lovely wife, my assistant here. We have hundreds of these drawstring bags. Every single bag. We have every size shirt you could possibly imagine. You get to keep that the rest of your life. Make that your memento. We have shorts of every single size. We have combs and brushes and toiletry products in here. Guys, I promise you, you're going to leave just as dry as when you came, in the same clothes you're wearing right now. And we'll let you keep what's in the bag. You can have this forever if you want, okay? Merry Christmas. That's our present to you. So we got you guys. There's nothing that needs to stop you, but let me hit one more. I know for some of us in here, you're hearing me talk about this right now. You're like, well, hold on, Brian. I'm a little scared though. Like, I feel just a little nervous right now hearing you even talk about it. And I kind of feel like you're pressuring me a little bit, Brian. You're kind of laying it on strong. And it was funny because there was a young guy who got baptized in the first service. And before the service, he said, Brian, I kind of feel those jitters like I used to get in high school before a football game. He's like, I just feel kind of nervous. And can I just say, first off, guys, deep breath. If you're feeling that at all, that is totally normal. Honestly, I'd say that's expected. I'd be surprised if you weren't a little nervous right now. This is a big moment. This is a defining moment in your life. You were marking this. That's a really big deal. But if you are feeling any hesitation right now, can I just lean into you for a second here? Since when do you use fear as a filter for whether you should follow God or not? Guys, that should not be the ultimate deciding factor. And guys, I just got to be honest with you. Of course, following Jesus is sometimes going to be scary. God never told you he was going to give you a comfortable life. He never said that. What God promises is to be with you in every moment in your life and to help you in every moment of your life. And guess what? God is here in this moment right now. He is right here in this room. And I understand for some of us in here, there's a little social anxiety. You hate the idea of getting up in front of people. And I know it might surprise you. I don't actually particularly like it that much either. I know that might be a shock. Not many people enjoy getting up in front of crowds. And you're like, oh, I'm going to get baptized in front of all these people. Well, can I say this real quick? First off, one thing that I love about doing baptisms, guys, is we'll let anybody get in the water with you. You don't need to have some ordained pastor to do your baptism. And if you have somebody here today with you and you're a little nervous, say, hey, would you come with me? Maybe as moral support, maybe to help baptize me. Guys, it was so cool to see moms baptizing their kids last service, brothers baptizing their sisters, friends, high school friends baptizing each other, which was just so amazing. Put 10 people in that pool if you want. I don't care. We'll fit you in. But also, guys, some of you guys are thinking, well, I don't want to get baptized in front of a whole crowd of strangers. But hold on, you're missing it. Because if you really have given your life to Jesus, you are not in a room full of strangers. You are in a room full of brothers and sisters in Christ who are here to support you and celebrate you and lift you up. And church, I always love doing this because I want people to know you could not be in a more supportive environment right now. It's not just that God's be clapping for you, but church, can we give every person get baptized today a little preview of what they're going to hear when they come out of that water? What are they going to hear, church? Oh, yeah, baby. Every single one. There's going to be a lot of cheering today, so don't you dare be afraid. Every person is cheering you on. So let me just say this, guys. Today is the day. Now is the time of salvation. Guys, it's your time. Today is your defining moment with Jesus. And so we actually like to do it here. This is kind of my fun way to do it. We do a 3 count every time for baptisms. And what that means is I'm going to count to 3 in about 20 seconds. And when I get to 3, guys, the doors are just going to open up in the back. Everybody's going to stand on 3. Everybody. And can I just say, everybody's going to stay. We're not done with church, guys. The best part is about to happen. And we're going to sing. We're going to celebrate. We're going to clap. 47 people got baptized in the first service. Yes, it ran a little long, but that's okay. If you got lunch, feel free to go, but stay for a minute. And once we stand up, those doors open. If you, right now, if God's telling you, come on, today's your day. It's your moment. Don't you wait. Don't let this day expire. You get up, you start walking. We got a whole team of people out there ready to give you the shirts and the shorts and the bags, private changing areas. We got you all taken care of. And so guys, are you ready to do this? Are we ready to have some fun? Okay, here we go. Here we go. Guys, one, this is your moment. Guys, two, today is the day. Now is the time. Don't you dare miss it. And New Hills Church, three, come on, let's stand up. Let's get moving. Let's celebrate life change in this place today.